confused spirit is a ghost that has yet to process the fact that it has passed on. It believes itself to be fully alive and is often completely aware of its identity, although it may remain in denial indefinitely about its ghostly stick.
Here you go, man.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah, super weird. I think my apartment might be haunted.
What?
Yeah, it's really weird. I've been hearing a lot of strange noises and sounds at night, and also slime was leaking out of my ceiling the other day.
Okay, that's definitely not normal. Except the slime part. This is New Jersey. But I got just the thing. See what we can detect.
Does that thing even work?
It's beeping, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh. Seem to be getting something from where you are.
Okay.
Huh. Huh.
Yeah, I'm dead inside.
There's something strange in the neighborhood, Chris.
Yes, there is. Who are you gonna call, Bill?
I don't know. Cops? Fire department?
Sure.
Ambulance?
Yeah.
Animal control?
Power Rangers? I don't know.
No one would ever fucking call the Power Rangers.
Whatever. Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. My name's Chris, that's Bill, and today we're talking about Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Hell yeah.
So, Bill, you are the resident Ghostbusters super fan. How do you like these movies?
I fucking love them, especially the first one. The first one is literally one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I like them both a lot too. In fact, I think the second one keeps growing on me every time I watch it. But I guess we'll start with the first one. Everybody's seen the first Ghostbusters, more or less, right?
It's a fucking classic. If you haven't seen it, you're like a baby in the womb.
Yeah, so a bunch of guys that are college professors, well, 3 guys that are college professors, are kind of interested in the paranormal.
Well, 2 of them are interested in. The other's just a sleazy con man, basically.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess he's not interested in it, but he's friends with them, so...
He's just going along with it because he smells an opportunity.
Yeah. They get a call about a ghost in a library, and from there, hijinks ensue. So, yeah, I don't know. It's so weird explaining this plot that like I've seen this movie all my life, and now I'm like, how do I explain it?
It's one of those movies it needs no introduction because it's fucking Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
you know what this is. It's a simple premise of schlubby exterminators who hunt ghosts.
Yeah,
and it was a lightning in the bottle kind of movie. It was just perfect timing. Like, you have Dan Aykroyd, who's super fascinated by the paranormal, super into it. Him and Harold Ramis writing this crazy-ass story. Ivan Reitman's the director. Bill Murray snarking up a storm, not giving a shit.
Yeah.
And it all just worked.
Yeah, you know, it's weird, too, because a lot of people think of this movie as, like, a comedy movie because of, you know, who's in it.
And the fact that it is hilarious.
It is funny, but, like, I never really feel like it's a straight up comedy. Like, it feels to me more like kind of like a Marvel movie now.
Yeah, it's weird because at the time you would say, yeah, it's a comedy, but now it's like it doesn't feel that way. I don't know how. It's just because I've seen it so many times that I'm not laughing at the jokes so much as I'm like, yeah, at the jokes.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird.
It feels like only like one of the characters, Peter Vickman, he's the one that's like actually trying to be funny and he's making wisecracks, but then like the other characters are sort of just like funny because of their personalities.
I mean, that's why it works.
Yeah.
Like, it's these different characters. We have Egon, the weird, crazy scientist who's like, you're not crazy, just something's off about him.
Yeah, he's like I don't know how to explain him, because he is sort of like a mad scientist, but he's sort of like kind of like unfeeling about things. He's very deadpan.
Oh, absolutely.
Matter of fact and sort of logical, but at the same time not logical because, you know, he at the beginning of the movie, he tries to they say he tried to drill a hole in his head and he's just very matter of fact and to the point.
You got Ray, who's just so enthusiastic.
Yeah, but Ray's also really smart too.
Yeah, his main thing though is like, Egon has some of the knowledge, but his knowledge is so much about the paranormal. He has like all this weird, like this event of 1912, this event of 1936, like all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining a lot of it's just stuff that Dan Aykroyd just kind of knows.
Yeah, I really like Ray. I think he's like probably my favorite Ghostbuster, just because he's like so genuine and like excited about everything. And I like the fact that he's like also really smart, kind of like Egon. But like Egon seems like he's more of like figuring out like more of the mechanics of like how the stuff works. But like Ray's also kind of has an understanding of how to build the stuff and how to utilize it. Like, it's almost like Ray has the ideas and Egon has the smarts to, like, make them happen.
And then complement that with Venkman, who actually knows how to take those things and turn it into a business.
Yeah. Because, like, Ray and Egon would just, like, make this stuff and... Well, I would say Ray would probably go poor, but at the same time, it's like, well, when we get to Ghostbusters 2, clearly Ray is... not as much of a idiot as like maybe you would think he would be.
He's running a bookstore. He's doing fine.
Yeah. So, and then you got, Peter Venkman, who is... Venkman. I said his name wrong?
Yes, you did.
Of course I did, because that's what I do.
Yep.
Bill Murray, then.
Sure. That's what most people call him anyway.
Yeah, you got Bill Murray kind of just playing Bill Murray, but he's kind of a character, too. He's... like you said, sleazy. Like, he's trying to, like, get with that one girl that he's doing the experiment with at the beginning of the movie where he's like, oh, you're psychic. And then, like, the one guy who actually is starting to get the cards right keeps, like, shooting him with the electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a con man. He's just trying to make a buck.
Pretty much.
Then, I guess, like, even though he comes in, like, way later in the movie than I originally thought, but you have Winston, who's just a guy answering, like, a help wanted ad that kind of just gets wrapped up in this, like, craziness, but he's kind of willing to do it because he just is like, I'll do anything as long as it gives me a steady paycheck.
Just a working man.
Yeah.
He's got a few good moments, though. Like, I really like that scene of him and Ray in Ecto 1 where he actually kind of catches on that something's up. Because he kind of points out, like, you ever read about the end of the world and how the dead rise and all that shit? What if that's what's happening, Ray? And Ray's like, oh no. Like, it never dawned on him that something might be up with all the ghosts that they've been catching.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I like Winston because he's kind of like the everyman that's kind of looking at it from like a different angle than the other three would, especially like Egon and Ray, who are just like, oh my god, this stuff, we're doing it finally, and it's awesome. And then Bill Murray is kind of not even surprised when they like encounter the ghost in the library at the beginning of the movie. Ray's all like, holy crap, like a full body apparition, and like Bill Murray's just like, well, you gotta go get her, Ray. Like,
I love that scene because I just like, he's just like, what do we do? And then years of just not encountering ghosts in these situations, Egon and Ray are just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? There's a fucking ghost right there. You don't know what to do?
It's funny because, like, it's almost at some point, it's like Egon maybe even at some point, like, thought, like, yeah, this stuff's probably bullshit. But then they finally find one, and it just goes from there.
Yeah. It's
kind of weird. Like, I guess, if ghosts were real, I mean, who knows? But, like, New York is, like, overrun with them. Like, as soon as they start, like, doing their, like, ghost busting, it's, like, they're getting calls like crazy, and...
Yep.
Also, they do a lot of collateral damage.
The proton pack is so dangerous.
Yeah, they say like it's an unlicensed nuclear accelerator.
The first time they use it, they almost kill a maid in a hotel.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts is when they're all standing in the elevator and then like Ray just says like, turn me on, and like the pack makes, the iconic noise, and then like Egon and
he's trying to
Bill Murray just like step back when they hear it turn on.
They can't. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's like, this could possibly be radioactive that they're wearing on.
Oh man. Reading about like the movie, like in books and watching the documentaries, just finding out like how they got to this, starting from like Dan Aykroyd's original like crazy ideas of interdimensional traveling, ghost catching, almost like a SWAT team.
Okay. Yeah, I only know a little bit of like that history of.
Yeah, like there's a lot of concept art. Some of these concepts actually eventually made it into like the video game,
Oh,
where you
okay.
actually are crossing into other dimensions and stuff like that. But his ideas were so ambitious that it needed like maybe Harold Ramis and I remember like, oh, let's rein this in. Exterminators.
Yeah.
But I do know that this was originally envisioned as a vehicle for him and Eddie Murphy and John Belushi.
Oh, wow.
But John Belushi had passed away,
Yeah.
and Eddie Murphy decided to do Beverly Hills Cop. Worked out well for him.
Yeah. It's weird. I can't even picture what this movie would be like with Eddie Murphy in it.
Well, for starters, Winston would have been there from the beginning
Yeah.
because after he dropped out, Winston's role was just pushed all the way to where it was.
So Eddie Murphy would have been Winston, or would have he been
would have
like,
been Winston.
Okay, he wouldn't have been like Peter or somebody.
I mean, maybe. I think I remember reading about how it would have been Eddie Murphy as Winston or Venkman or whatever. And
Yeah.
he would have been the one to get slimed.
Yeah,
Which I can kind of picture. Eddie Murphy could have sold that pretty well too.
yeah, I can picture him as like Peter, like
Oh yeah.
like at the beginning of the movie with like the girl, and it's just being like you're doing great, like
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a version of this with Eddie Murphy that could have worked just as well.
yeah,
But, it just didn't happen that way. It happened this way, and this way is fantastic.
yeah,
It's just interesting, like, what could have been and how weird and different it could have been. So many, like, variables resulted in the movie we got.
yeah. It's so weird too, because I mean, like in this movie, Sigourney Weaver is in it. He's like from Alien and a bunch of other movies, and she's just like
The love interest.
the love interest.
Damsel in distress.
Yeah, and you've got like Rick Morales or
Moranis.
Sorry,
I know that part was actually, at one point, offered to John Candy.
oh okay.
And, I guess he just said, like, eh.
He's just like the goofy neighbor that is like trying to get a date with Sigourney Weaver. But
Trying way too hard
Yeah.
and failing miserably.
he's got his like weird like satin tracksuit when you first see him, and he's talking about like he's into workouts and like taking vitamins and stuff. And he's just like some weird accountant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I like all the mythology of like Ghostbusters, like the whole, these are more like you said interdimensional type beings. It's kind of like
I mean, they start fighting ghosts. At the end, they are fighting an interdimensional being.
yeah.
Like, there's a vortex, there's a portal. We see into another dimension, a weird temple, demon dogs, a freaking gozer.
Yeah, I mean, like, that cartoon show Danny Phantom borrowed a lot from Ghostbusters, and kind of reminds me of that with like, the Ghost World and Danny Phantom, and like Ghostbusters clearly has some sort of like Ghost World going on.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think a lot of the ideas and concepts ended up in video games, ended up in comics, ended up in the cartoon. I mean, we talked about like Winston having that cool part before. He has probably one of my favorite lines in the entire movie when they finally have their big confrontation with the Gozer and like the weird lady form, and she's just like, "Are you a god?"
Oh.
And Ray's just like, "No." And she's just like, "Then die!" Blasts them. They all get sent flying. And then Winston's like, "Ray, someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!"
yeah, Winston probably gets like the worst blasting too, because like the other guys are close to falling off like the roof, but Winston went like up and like landed on something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird too, because before like Gozer shows up, it's like their apartment building that Sigourney Weaver lives in was like a conduit made to like channel like spirits by some like crazy architect from like
Yeah.
I guess like the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And
Ivo Shandor.
yeah. I like when she opens the refrigerator and you see the demon dog and it's just like Zool, and it's like what the hell?
Yeah, that's one of the better parts of this, with like the exception of like Slimer, who's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Most of the supernatural stuff is genuinely kind of creepy. Like the opening scene, you got like the books floating in that. It's like, oh, that's a little eerie. Then you got the terror dogs, who are just like these terrifying monsters. Like if you watch that as like a 5-year-old, you're like, ah!
Yeah, I mean they chase the neighbor guy like through like It's so funny. He's having like a party, and then of course, like the terror dog like busts into his apartment, and he just like runs away, and it chases him all the way into the park, and he's like in front of that like glass restaurant with all the people like eating, and they just like briefly look at him, and he's just like, "Help!"
When he falls down, and then like he stops screaming, they just turn away.
Yeah,
Because New York.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
There's so much, especially 1980s New York in these movies.
Yeah, kind of a very different New York in some ways, but still similar enough, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's of course, closest thing to a human antagonist we have is Walter Peck.
Right. Which is weird because he's part of the EPA, and you think like in the 80s they'd just be like, environmental protection? Get the fuck out of here.
That's why he's the bad guy.
Yeah, but like he like acts like he has power. Like you think the mayor would just be like, who are you?
I mean, even today that guy wouldn't be able to do what he did.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like a lot of people these days are like, well, Walter Peck was right. I'm like, well, I mean, he was right in that the Ghostbusters were running this equipment kind of shadily, but he was also wrong in having the Con Ed guy just turn it off without knowing what the fuck they were doing. The fact that he did it out of spite.
Yeah.
And the fact that he then just starts lying to the mayor about the Ghostbusters, like using nerve gases and shit on people. Walter Peck may have been right about one thing, but he was still a lying prick.
Yeah, it's weird too because, you know, this is just a movie, but you know, there would be more grounds for like the power guy to like go there just to be like, hey, your building is using like way too much electricity. What the hell are you guys doing here?
Oh yeah. Like that's probably the angle you'd take.
Yeah.
Like, why are you bringing the EPA into
like the
this?
EPA guy is like just kind of makes no sense. But yeah, they're keeping them in like this like containment field.
The containment unit.
Yeah, it's really weird. We don't really know exactly what it is. It's just like
Not in the movies, no, but in like the cartoons, you get the ghosts are like in this kind of void together. It's kind of like horrifying.
yeah.
Especially when you take into account it's like they're not all like weird monster things like Slimer. Some of them are just like the ghosts of people.
Yeah.
It's like, what have I done to deserve this?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I like all their equipment, like the proton packs and, you know, the car. It's
Fucking
great.
Ecto-1. What a great design. So simple, so iconic.
Yeah,
Taking that old ambulance hearse and
whatever it is.
turning it into a superhero car, basically.
Yeah, it's got a siren. They drive it like crazy. It's weird that they drive as crazy as they do because it's like they're technically not police, but
To be fair, it's New York City. Who's going to fucking notice?
that's true.
You seen what cab drivers do? Come on.
I mean, have you seen what regular drivers do? I make regular trips into the city all the time, and let me tell you.
No one's noticing the Ecto-1.
Yeah,
It's New York. The Ecto-1 could drive by and be like, yep, that was that thing.
yeah,
Looked like some kind of ghost catching car.
yeah. It's pretty zany, but yeah, you know, they fight Gozer at the end, and you know, everybody knows Stay Puft Marshmallow Guy. I like the scene where like it's just like I'm sorry. It's like, Ray, what did you think of? It's just like it just popped in my head. This is Stay Puft Marshmallow Guy, and
Yeah.
it's just like, well, I thought he was like harmless, and he's like 100 feet tall.
Stomping on buildings and shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's weird too because like throughout the first movie, the Ghostbusters like kind of get like famous, like kind of like weirdly almost too famous for like just.
They're catching ghosts.
I guess.
How do they not become super famous?
Yeah, but they're just in like one place though.
It's New York City.
I guess that's true. I guess it's New York City. It's in the 80s. All the shows are made in New York City, so of course they would want to have these guys on the shows.
Yeah.
It is funny though. Like they're on like Larry King, and I was just like, wow, that guy even looked old in the 80s.
Well, they're not on Larry King, but Larry King has got a cameo.
Oh yeah.
He's on. They're on. We see Ray on some like other talk show.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
And we got like a voiceover by Casey Kasem.
Right. So like when I was rewatching it too, like, you know, I always feel like, oh, Ghostbusters 1 is like kind of timeless, But then like Ghostbusters 2 feels very of the 80s, but then as I watched Ghostbusters 1, again, I was kind of like when you get towards the end of the movie when they're like riding with like the police and stuff and they're playing that song, I'm like, you know what, this feels pretty 80s too.
That one song.
Yeah.
I would say the one thing that definitely, I guess, dates it to a degree is the amount of smoking you see from the characters.
That's very true. Like, especially Ray, he's always smoking.
Yeah, you got like an R rating now for that many cigarettes.
Yeah, even when he's like Ghostbusting, you know, when he first sees Slimer, he's got the cigarette in his mouth, and then like he just like sees it, and the cigarette falls out of his mouth, and yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, well, this movie, it was kind of aimed at older audiences, but it captured the imaginations of a lot of kids. They made a cartoon, and of course that resulted in like, let's soften the sequel a little bit. Get those cigarettes out of your fucking mouth.
They didn't really soften it that much.
No, but they did take away a lot of the smoking. Ray's got a cigar at least once or twice.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still the 80s, so.
Yeah, definitely. So, I guess we'll go into Ghostbusters 2, which takes place 5 years later. After the first Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters are no longer busting ghosts because
they got sued.
Yeah.
By everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, they caused a lot of collateral damage.
They blew up the top of a building.
Yeah.
They did conjure the Marshmallow Man.
Yeah. It's interesting how, because, you know, Ghostbusters 2 kind of does feel like a retread, not as much as I initially thought, but maybe it's just I've seen it more times now, and the movie kind of does grow on me every time I watch it, to the point where I was just like, man, I kind of really like the Ecto too. It's like so like garish with like it's like neon like light sign
for hire.
Yeah,
hire us. It fits. It fits there. We're guys trying to make money. We're saving people from ghosts, but this shit costs money, man.
Yeah,
it's a business.
Yeah. So Ghostbusters 2, you know, they can't bust ghosts because
they've been banned from it.
Court order.
Yeah. So Ray's just got a bookstore while also doing side party gigs on the side with Winston.
Yeah.
Egon's back to being just a scientist working at like a university or something. And Venkman's got a talk show, like a basic cable access talk show.
Basic cable / maybe possibly UHF station.
Maybe. And it's like everyone thinks you're a fraud, and he's like, I am a fraud, because they were talking about how he was supposed to have the guy that could bend spoons with his mind, but he canceled because no self-respecting psychic or whatever would appear on his show. Though I'll just say this: the guy that could bend spoons was a fraud. He got exposed by freaking Johnny Carson. Oh yeah, because Johnny Carson was a magician, and a lot of magicians don't like it when people do magic tricks and pretend it's real. So they get pissed about that. That's why guys like Houdini went around exposing people for bullshit like that.
Oh, wow.
So he brought out a whole bunch of spoons, Carson, and it was just like, bend them. Let's see. And the guy was like,
Oh, man.
It's pretty funny.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Johnny Carson, what a legend.
Yeah. Yeah, so this movie begins with supernatural happenings happening to Sigourney Weaver yet again.
And her baby.
Yes.
She's got a baby now.
Yeah, baby, and it's pink ooze coming up from the street.
The mood slime, which is a big thing in this movie. A lot of slime.
A lot of slime.
Mood slime, bad mood slime, good mood slime, slime blowers.
Yeah.
The works.
Yeah, she of course calls like Egon and Ray to kind of help her out because of like the ghost stuff happening at the beginning of the movie. You get one of the funniest scenes at the beginning of the movie with Egon just being like, oh, this guy is like horrible. He's like doing these experiments to like these people that are waiting for marriage counseling, and he's just like, we've kept them waiting for 3 hours and we've gradually increased the temperature in the room. It's 95 degrees now. We're about to tell them that it's going to be another hour before the doctor goes to see them.
Oh man, there's a great little moment that I didn't even notice for years where Sigourney Weaver's just like, so has Peter talked about me at all? And he's just like, no. And then we see it, because her back's to him, he takes a little scanner out, and it's just like detecting stuff. And it's like, Oh my God, that bastard.
Yeah.
He's deliberately upsetting her.
I forgot exactly what he says his experiment is, but it has something to do with like negative emotions.
Whether emotions could affect the physical environment, negative or positive. He's got the room with the little girl with the puppy, and after Sigourney Weaver leaves, he's just like, see what happens when we take away the puppy.
Yeah.
Because he's a bastard.
It's so funny.
It makes you wonder why in this new movie that's coming out, it's like, oh, so there's probably a reason why his daughter and his grandkids didn't really know him.
Yeah. Because he was a bad person.
Not a bad, well,
Yeah.
not a good person.
Not a good person.
He's not a bad person. He's not hurting anybody.
He's
mostly.
not good at emotional things.
No, not at all.
Like human interactions. But yeah, so it's weird that like even though Winston is at the beginning of the movie, he kind of immediately is not in the movie because it just goes back to like Ray, Egon, and Peter like having to like investigate the stuff for Sigourney Weaver, and
They drill a hole in the freaking street of New York illegally. They find the river of slime. They cause a massive blackout.
Yeah.
And get put on trial. Winston's probably like, glad I wasn't there.
Yeah, I think the judge is that angry guy from Caddyshack who is like, "You'll get nothing and like it," guy.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's him. I could be wrong, but it looks like him.
Interesting. I'll look it up.
Because I was like, I think that's the rich guy from Caddyshack that's like, "You'll get nothing and like it."
I've only seen that movie like twice.
Oh. Yeah, but it would make sense if it was that guy. I mean, didn't Bill Murray make? Well, yeah, I forget. Ghostbusters 2 is like in the 90s, right?
I think it came out in 89.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. His first one was 84, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's not as late as I thought it was. I thought it was like 92 for some reason.
Nah, we never got a Ghostbusters movie in the 90s, unless you count Dan Aykroyd's Casper cameo.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, he shows up in that movie as Ray.
Interesting.
Yeah, because Casper's got those uncles that are haunting that house, and the bad lady and her sidekick are like, we got to get rid of these ghosts. So we hear like some noise, and freaking Ray comes running out, full Ghostbusters gear. He's like, remember, are you gonna call somebody else? And he just runs off.
Wow, that's pretty funny.
So Ghostbusters and Casper, same cinematic universe.
I guess so.
Yeah.
They should maybe bust Casper's brothers because they kind of suck.
Uncles.
Uncles. Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, Ghostbusters Afterlife. We know what that post-credit scene is going to be.
Oh man.
I'm Casper, and I need your help.
They can get the guy that played him in the live-action movie, the guy from Home Improvement.
What?
Yeah, didn't
No.
the kid that voiced Casper, wasn't he the kid from Home Improvement?
No.
Oh,
I don't
was
think
it?
so. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't him.
Sure?
Yes.
Oh shit! I'm thinking of Lion King.
Oh my! How do you confuse Casper and Lion King?
I don't know. I just remember one of the kids from Home Improvement did something. Whatever.
Oh my God! Well, one of the kids from Home Improvement played a teenager in 2007.
Wait, that's very far away from when Home Improvement aired.
I know.
That's weird.
It was one of the Fast and Furious movies. He was either supposed to still be in high school or early college.
Wait, is he Drift King from Tokyo Drift?
No, but he was it was Tokyo Drift. He was like a bully in like the beginning of the movie.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a weird sidebar we just went on.
Moving on.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Who are you gonna call?
Long story short, Ghostbusters get caught by the law. They go to trial. Ghosts show up in the trial because of mood slime they had.
Yes. And then they beat the ghosts, and the judges are like, fine, you can be Ghostbusters again. And then the Ghostbusters are Ghostbusting again.
Yeah. I guess we should mention,
Vigo the Carpathian?
yeah, Sigourney Weaver works at an art museum because I guess she plays the violin and also can restore art.
Well, there's some dialogue that says where she's been doing that since she had her kid.
Yeah.
I guess because you said easier hours.
Yeah, she's got like a creepy boss that I'm not even gonna attempt to say his name because it's something like weird. It's like Yongish or
Yanish?
Yonish.
Yodish?
I don't know, but he's kind of creeping on her, and she's just like, "I need this job, but like, I don't want to have to date this guy because he sucks and possibly has really bad breath."
But his creepiness is amplified when he gets brainwashed by the evil painting, the Carpathian, who's like,
Not Dracula, but totally Dracula.
yeah, absolutely not Dracula. And not Dracula, but actual Dracula.
Yeah.
Vlad Dracul, the Impaler.
Indeed. Yeah, so, and he has to do with the slime under New York that they found earlier in the movie.
Sure, at least it's implied to be connected to him in the movie.
Yeah. I guess we forgot to mention, but their sassy secretary,
Janine.
shows up and she's immediately like, "Yes, we're back." Like,
And she's hilarious in these movies.
yeah,
What do you want?
yeah. It's just
Dropping off or picking up?
Yeah, yeah, and then the Ghostbusters start busting ghosts again, and we see the Ecto 2, which is I think pretty cool. And
You already talked about the Ecto too.
yeah, I know. I'm just mentioning it.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay, you go on then. You say something.
All right. Something.
I hate you. Oh man.
All right, but in all seriousness, the plot is pretty simple from there.
Yeah.
Vigo wants to be reborn. Oscar, Dana's baby, is his target, mostly because of Janish,
Yeah.
who in his brainwash state is like, "I'll give you could have her baby, and I could have her."
Yeah.
And Vigo's like, "All right,
Yeah.
that's fine. I need a mom and a dad, I guess. I'll be a baby for a little while."
Yeah, it's weird too because you find out some like tidbits of like Vigo. He apparently died when he was 105 years old, and he
And-
was like murdered because he
Yeah, like
sucked.
they like stabbed him, burnt him, chopped his head off, poisoned him.
Kind of like a Rasputin type of thing, where like apparently Rasputin like they like tried killing him multiple times and he kept coming back to life somehow. So the stories go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get like a lot of fun scenes with the Ghostbusters ghostbusting, and then also doing experiments with the mood slime.
Dancing toaster,
Yeah, implied that Egon was intimate with the slime.
or just cuddly.
Yeah.
Good slime.
Got Bill Murray trying to date Sigourney Weaver again, even though they were dating, and then Bill Murray became like a jerk towards her for some reason because he sucks.
It's one of those things that I've always hated, that it happens in television, happens in movies a lot too, where they'll take like a character or relationship, and then in like the new season or new sequel or whatever, they just set them right back to square one.
Yeah.
They did the same thing in that lame sequel to The Mask of Zorro, where they like broke up the two leads, and then they were just like, we're back to like having these like kind of flirty, kind of fighty moments like we did in the first movie, except it's not as fun.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're just doing the same thing again. They're falling back in love, blah, blah, blah. Seriously, if they're broken up again in Ghostbusters Afterlife, I'm going to throw a brick at you.
The only thing I want about Ghostbusters Afterlife about watching these movies, since you brought it up, is don't make Ray all sad and depressed. Like, it looks like he's sad and depressed in the trailer, and I'm like, no, Ray's supposed to be like happy and
What do you
enthusiastic.
mean? Well, we see his hand.
I know, but he's like, we're closed. I'm like, don't
He says
be...
it in a very casual way. We're closed. There's no real emotion.
I'm just
there.
worried that they're gonna make him like sad and
because
bitter
Egon-
old man.
Because
Yeah,
Egon might have just died.
maybe. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Fun fact about this movie, there's that scene where Ray and Winston are being party clowns, basically.
Yeah, it's just kind
And
of
like, there's
weird.
like the one kid, it's like, my dad says you're full of crap. It's like, well, some people have trouble believing the paranormal. It's like, no, he says you guys are just full of crap, and that's why you went out of business. That's Ivan Reitman, his kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the director of Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, wow.
Calling the Ghostbusters full of crap.
That's interesting. That's so cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we get a lot of like things with like they got like the blue suits they wear sometimes.
Mostly
and-
just in the montage, and it's in a lot of promo material, but in like all the big set pieces, they're either not wearing their jumpsuits or just like the regular jumpsuits.
yeah.
So I don't even know what the point of that was, other than to maybe sell different toys. But they didn't really make movie-based Ghostbuster toys for years, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal with that was.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, because Ghostbusters was pretty much like kept alive, I guess, for 5 years through like the cartoon show and
Yeah.
everything. You know.
But this was like that weird era where, like, other than Star Wars, nobody still kind of really knew you could monetize movies with toys.
Yeah.
Like they kind of learned, they kept learning, not learning the lesson. They didn't learn it from Star Wars. They didn't learn it again for Batman '89. They weren't prepared for that.
Wow.
They were clearly not prepared for Ghostbusters.
So I'm guessing there were no Happy Meal toys for Ghostbusters.
Maybe years later. Maybe when we were kids. I mean, maybe with the real Ghostbusters there was at some point.
Okay.
That show was on for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe even Extreme Ghostbusters got something.
Yeah.
But
I remember Extreme Ghostbusters more than like real Ghostbusters because I think that was the one that was actually on TV when we were kids.
yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Because real Ghostbusters was mostly just in reruns. Because I remember watching it when I was like really little. I actually remember watching that before I ever saw the movies.
Yeah.
And then I watched Extreme Ghostbusters when it was on like UPN or whatever network it was being syndicated on around here.
Remember when I was little and me and my sister saw Ghostbusters? I think like my sister might even said, "Where's the girl one?" Like, because of like the cartoon.
Well, I knew those were just the successor Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
They weren't the real Ghostbusters. I remember, I vaguely remember watching it for the first time because it came on TV and my dad was like, "Hey, Ghostbusters, it's the movie." I'm like, "Oh man," and I just remember watching it. Not long after that, seeing the second one and just being like, "This is great. I love these." Never owned them as a kid, but would always catch them on TV. And no matter where I was, especially with the first movie, would always just like, "Oh, we're like 10 minutes in? Cool. Oh, we're like 30 minutes in? That's fine. Oh, we're like, it's almost the end? That's fine, I'll watch." And like, it literally, over time, became like one of my favorite movies. Like, I just realized one day, I'm like, "Oh no, I fucking adore this movie. I love this flick. I will always watch this."
Yeah. When I was a kid, we had the first Ghostbusters on tape. I don't remember exactly how we got it, but it was like, after like we initially watched it when we were like little, we just had it on tape, and my
They
sister.
stole it from a Blockbuster.
I mean, to be fair, that probably might have been like what happened where we rented it from a video store and then the video store went out of business. I mean, that's kind of how we got a couple movies when
Wow.
we were a kid.
Man,
Because that kind of happened.
really?
But,
Never had that happen to us.
yeah. My mom was a busy lady. She had like multiple jobs, and sometimes it was just hard getting these things back to the store. But, around like the early 2000s, it's like, yeah, this place will probably just go out of business anyway. So,
It's like, yeah, just let that fine build up until they can't even collect.
yeah. But yeah, we had Ghostbusters. No, but I think we actually did buy it because we had like the slipcover for it and everything.
Oh, then yeah, that's not a
Yeah,
rental, man.
and we used to watch it a lot. My sister would watch it a lot, and I'd watch it.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I owned it till like I was in college when I just bought the DVD.
It's weird. I watched the first Ghostbusters movie a ton of times as a kid. I had no idea there was a second Ghostbusters movie until I was like pretty much an adult.
Yeah,
And then I never watched it because like I always heard it's bad, and then you're like, hey, you should actually watch this movie.
I remember. Yeah, I was the one that showed you Ghostbusters too for
Yeah.
the first time. I remember because when it opened up and we saw what became of the Ghostbusters, I kind of remember you saying, "Oh my God, they have fallen so far." Like you were caught off guard by that.
Yeah. But it's weird because, I've watched Ghostbusters 2 quite a bit now, and I like it more and more every time I watch it.
It's better than its reputation among some people. I think I can understand why it could be disappointing because it is after like once they become the Ghostbusters again, it does kind of follow the same structure as the first movie.
Yeah.
You get the big montage, investigate montage. Big giant thing walks through the city. Like it's all a lot of the same beats.
Yeah.
But it's still entertaining. These characters are still fun. Like I understand, like a lot of movie sequels in this time period, they always kind of fell into this trap a lot, where it was just like, yeah, it's the same thing again.
Yeah.
You didn't always get an Empire Strikes Back or a Godfather 2. You sometimes you got a Jaws 2, where it happened again, the shark attacked,
Yeah.
and then Jaws 3, it happened again, the shark attacked in SeaWorld. And then, it's probably why they were like, maybe we don't make a third one because we don't really know what else to do. Bill Murray refused to do it, and they couldn't do it without him.
Yeah. And it's weird because, this universe kind of, in some ways, like, has, like, a lot of, like, possibilities, to go.
Oh yeah, I mean you see it in the game from 2009. You saw it in the cartoons. You saw it in the IDW comics, which have been pretty good.
Yeah. I will say, like, I love the soundtrack of this movie, like, a lot, actually. I really like the main, like, theme for this movie, like, better than the original Ghostbusters theme, but
How dare you?
I think they're both great. It's like comparing, like, two really good pieces of music, but...
I mean, the music is very of that late 90s,
Yeah, I was
late
just gonna
90s,
say,
early 80s, late 80s, early 90s hip hop.
it dates the movie so much, even more than the first movie,
Oh yeah.
but, like, I love it.
It's still a better version of the Ghostbusters theme than what happened in that movie that we probably should not speak of.
Don't even bring it up.
I won't even want to bring it up.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but I love a lot of the music in this movie. It's so 80s, but I don't know. I just love it.
I like the song that they play at the end over everybody's credits. That's fun.
Yeah.
It's got like a nice beat to it. It's very celebratory. It's like, yeah.
But I guess, like, the plot, we already explained Vigo. He's trying to possess baby Oscar. He's got that.
They just got to stop him and save the baby. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean, for what it's worth, this movie, even though they do kind of retread the whole Dana Venkman romance thing, the added element of Oscar, I think, works because you get this sort of like Peter, he loves this woman, so he's like almost trying to learn. I could be with her if I could learn to maybe be this kid's almost dad.
Yeah.
And like you have these like little moments with him and the baby. He saves the kid at the end from like falling.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of heartwarming.
The baby's got those classic Winnie the Pooh feety pajamas that, like, every kid in the 90s and 80s probably had at one point. I'm pretty sure I had those pajamas.
No recollection, but
Yeah.
I imagine there were some feety pajamas in my past.
Yeah. I like the build up with, like, the slime. When Winston, Egon, and Ray are investigating the slime in the sewer. Like, Winston falls in. Like, it's kind of funny that, like, their, like, immediate reaction, instead of just being like, oh no, Winston fell in, they just, like, all jump in after him. And then, like, you find out, like, if you're covered in the slime, you get, like, super angry.
Yeah. In that, like, same chain of events, I actually really like the scene of the three of them just, like, underground. It's actually kind of creepy in points.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with the severed heads and shit. But some
Yeah.
good funny parts, too. Like, with the train hitting Winston. And he got being like, I think that was the such and such train that derailed in, like, 19... oh, whatever, and it killed hundreds of people. Did you see the number? And he was like, no, I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that part too, when they're in the, like, old subway line, and, it's one of the things that's just like, Vigo's not Dracula, but here's a bunch of heads on pikes, like you said.
Yeah, pretty much. There's the not Walter Peck character who is like the mayor's aide or whatever, who's
Yeah.
helping him with his planned governor election. He gets the Ghostbusters committed at one point, and they're explaining things to the psychiatrist at the mental hospital, who's played by Bill Murray's brother.
Oh.
They go through this whole thing, and in the bathtub almost ate his friend's kid, and then Venkman's just like, don't look at me, I think these people are fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy that they get, like, literally committed. They even have, like, straight jackets on at
Yeah.
one point.
The mayor's, before they get committed, the mayor's got one of the funnier lines in the movie with the,
Oh, yeah?
because they tell him about the mood slide, how all the bad vibes in the city are coming back to bite us in the ass. It's like, what, you want me to go on television and tell everyone they have to be nice to each other? Being miserable and treating other people like dirt is every New Yorker's God-given right.
Yeah. Very true.
Oh, man.
Yeah. East Coast people are not friendly. Well, Northeast people.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fuck, this guy. You want to start something?
No,
Good.
I'm good.
All right.
What an idiot.
Oh, it's on.
All right. Seriously, okay.
Oh man. But I mean, I do like the use of the Statue of Liberty. I do love that kind of like, here's a symbol of New York City that everyone can rally behind. It's a nice
Yeah.
little moment. It's actually uplifting. As cynical and jaded as I often am, I can be touched and warmed in my cold black heart.
Yeah. I like how they have like the positively charged like slime goo.
And they got that Nintendo controller thing.
Oh yeah. I guess is that like the power pad?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I think it is like a legit Nintendo thing.
Yeah. It's pretty fun. Yeah, and at the end, they stop Vigo from possessing baby Oscar and save the day, and the crowd cheers for the Ghostbusters. It ends pretty much exactly the same way as the first movie.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
Like I said, they just kind of. It's just how a lot of movie sequels. It was just a weird trap that movie sequels used to fall in a lot.
yeah.
Thankfully, it doesn't happen too much anymore. It happens sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's still fine. It's still solid. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
There's been a terrible Ghostbusters movie, but it's not Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
And hopefully it won't be Ghostbusters Afterlife, because I'm not gonna lie, the trailers have been kind of winning me over, and I'm like optimistic, I guess.
I've only really seen like the one trailer for it.
There's been like 2 main ones, and there was an international trailer.
I mean, I'm excited about it. It's like an actual sequel to the original Ghostbusters, but they're kind of, doing Ghostbusters of a new generation. It does worry me a little bit, like, with, like, it seems like everything kind of is, like, sort of, like, make it like Stranger Things, and I'm like,
Yeah, that clock has kind of run out on Stranger Things, honestly. I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I hope for the best, but you know what? If the movie sucks, Ghostbusters, the video game, will still be my Ghostbusters 3 then.
There you go.
That game is fun. And
Yeah.
it does tie into these movies pretty well. It does feel like a third story in this sort of trilogy. Because it takes the Shandor and the cults and all that stuff, it weaves it all together, even connects it to this movie, where in the second movie it's implied the slime has to do with Vigo, where in the game it's like, actually it was the Shandor cultists that pumped the slime into New York City's sewers.
Oh, okay.
And that's like basically making Ivo Shandor the overarching big bad of the series.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is like how a third movie would play out.
Yeah.
Which was the entire idea behind the game.
Yeah. It's just really cool that they made that game, you
Yeah.
know?
And I'm glad it got a remaster too. So
Yeah.
it's like still widely available, because it's a fun game, and if you love Ghostbusters and you can play video games and don't suck at them, I say play it.
Or just watch the cutscene movie.
Yeah, but it's not as fun.
Yeah.
Because the whole conceit of the game is you join the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to watch somebody else join the Ghostbusters? I want to join the Ghostbusters.
There you go. Interactive.
You can walk around the firehouse, just look around, find little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
They got the game over screen from the old NES game on one of the computers.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really played any of the other Ghostbusters game except that one.
That's the only one I've ever played.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
There might be like one decent platformer one for like Sega Genesis or something, but from what I understand, everything else is just garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that Sanctum of Slime arcade game that was okay, but it was, it's just like an Xbox Live kind of arcade game. It was kind of repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah. But
It's a shame they never made a sequel to that game. It's too bad.
yeah.
Should have got one. Maybe it's because it was put out by Atari and Atari died.
Or did it? Because they might still be around.
Just because somebody owns the trademark doesn't mean the company truly exists. People own the name Blockbuster. Doesn't mean
true.
Blockbuster really exists except for that one store.
They're making that console bill and cryptocurrency in hotels.
Yeah, okay. Sure. The fuck does that mean?
I don't know. Atari's making cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Get in on the ground floor.
Sure. It'll probably go over as well as their freaking ET game did.
Yeah.
It won't fill up any landfills. Definitely won't fill up any landfills.
Well, cryptocurrency. So I guess the servers that they put the cryptocurrency on will just be thrown in the garbage in the desert someday,
Absolutely.
as well as the hotel. But I guess they'll just build it in Vegas, so it's already in the desert.
There you go.
I don't know.
Who the fuck would stay in an Atari hotel in 2021?
Yeah, that's what I read. So, but yeah, Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
First one's a classic. Second one is
I think it's underrated.
solid. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I would definitely call it underrated.
It has a lot of good moments in it.
Oh yeah.
It's a fun movie, and honestly, it's a pretty good follow-up, I think. You know, even though it does retread stuff. I don't know. I like it more and more every time I see it.
I've always enjoyed it, but then again, I saw it for the first time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I've always just had these two Ghostbusters movies I've enjoyed.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
You know the call.
Yeah, whatever.